guys, malam ni kita cuba ringkaskan seboleh yang mungkin dan kita cuba percepatkan untuk kelas kita sebab kat sini saya tak tahu dekat tempat you all semua tapi dekat Terengganu memang hujan yang terlalu lebat dan kadang-kadang ada connection dan kadang-kadang tak ada connection sebab tu saya awalkan sikit. So maybe anytime we are going to have a blackout or we are going to have a loss of connection for a few times. So we are going to make it more simple this time since for chapter 3 and chapter 4 just based on the some basic information about the accounting regulation in Malaysia that we should know as accounting students. And I think it is not a big complex as compared to the previous chapter or on the next following chapters. So there's not much I'm going to talk on the introduction part for chapter 3 and chapter 4. So I think we just let to the presenters to straight away to deliver their presentation, and inshallah we are going to make it more simple this time, and I hope you don't mind. And if you have any question or if you have any queries about this topic, you may ask me personally by calling me or by WhatsApp me. It's better to, in order to have a fast response, it's better to call me because sometimes you message me, I just read your message after 3 days or 2 days. I'm so sorry for that. So without further ado, I just would welcome our first presenter to go on the screen, and inshallah we are going to hear some information about the regulation of the accounting standard, right?
Yeah.
So this one is yours. Okay, thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me?
Okay. And it comes with a remark. So I hope you focus with our presentation and good luck.
The Malaysian Accounting Standards Board has established The MASB's main objective has been the development of accounting standards to be used in the Malaysian environment. Another major effort of the MASB was when it started the convergence process for the adoption of the International Financial Reporting Standards (IFRS) in 2008. Next is the transition from IFRS to MFRS. The Malaysian Financial Reporting Standards MFRS framework was introduced by the Malaysian Accounting Standards Board (MASB) and came into effect on 1st of January 2012. In the convergence period, which is 2008 until 2012, the accounting standards used were noting status 1000 Asia AFR in the scope of 15 of the IFRS frame Malaysia to assert that all statements are in full compliance with IFRS. Now, let's look at the transition of PERS to MPERS. On 14 February 2014, MASB announced the issuance of Malaysian Private Entity Reporting Standards (MPERS) to replace the existing PERS. All private entities with annual periods beginning on or after 1st of January 2016 shall comply with MPERS in their entirety or MFRS in their entirety. A private entity with financial period ended on 31st of December and chooses to comply with MPERS shall prepare its first set of MPERS financial statements for the annual period ended 31st of December 2016. However, the transition date from PERS to MPERS is on 1st of January 2015. On the transition date, a private entity shall elect appropriate accounting policies and transition options under MPERS. For private entities, the MASB requires the use of MPERS. The MASB requires all public listed companies in Malaysia to comply with the MFRS. Few objectives of accounting standard setting process. The first objective is faithful representation. The main concern is to ensure that accounting information faithfully represents activities of a business entity. This objective is more aligned to the faithful representation characteristic in the accounting conceptual framework. Next, the role of accounting standard setter is to ensure business entities disclose information about their activities. Whether information will be directly useful for use is a secondary concern. For example, in IFRS 8, entity-wide disclosure will be required when operating segments are not aligned to product or group of products or locations of business activities or locations of customers. The second objective is economic consequences. The main concern is that the accounting information should reflect regulators' usefulness in the process. This objective is more aligned to the relevance characteristic in the accounting conceptual framework. Next, the role of accounting standard setter is to ensure business entities disclose information which will be directly useful in the decision-making process of stakeholders. The assumption behind this role is that users are not able to get useful information. For example, RS8, among the information required to be disclosed for reportable segments is profitability information, which is deemed useful in evaluating the performance of each operating segment. In the free market model, the regulation comes in the form of interaction between the preparers of financial statements and the users of accounting information. In economic theory, this is considered as the interaction between the supply curve and the demand curve. For providers of accounting information, the The main concern is the cost of providing such accounting information, or termed as a proprietary cost by the requirement into accounts, which could be accounting information which is not cost. For example, the direct cost of preparation, the valuation of potential assets such as brands is more complex than the valuation of tangible assets such as equipment, thus leading to a more costly estimation. Examples are litigation cost and competitive disadvantage, litigation of best losses, competitive better means performance. For more information, a clear information directly being evaluated. Negotiations between preparers and users of accounting information would lead to an optimization for the users and decision.
I would like to ask a question. Is it easy to apply the free market model?
Hi. It could be difficult because nowadays, the nature of business transactions are very complex.
Oh. May I know? What are the drawbacks of free market model?
Among the drawbacks of the free market model are diversity in accounting practices and even investors. Diversity in accounting practices exist because there is no specific accounting regulation. Hence, managers tend to make their own accounting decisions that influenced by their characteristics and disclosure environment.
What is naive investors?
Naive investors refer to people who contribute capital but are uncertain the possibility of pulling the demands of users and power into measures.
I couldn't it.
The regulation model is defined and monitoring of accounting practices by an independent accounting body. In Malaysia, this refers to the mass possible conflicts between accounting standards from different bodies may occur. There are two main approaches under the regulation model: I. Public interest theory, and 2. Capture theory. Bring benefits to stakeholders. For example, it provides guidelines for managers and accountants in preparing financial statements. With the mandatory requirements of accounting standards, business entities must comply with regulation and provide the required information to assist users in their decision-making process. For accounting regulators, accounting standards provide a benchmark for better and easier monitoring of accounting practices. The first approach is an idealistic approach. The accounting regulator addresses the concerns of all stakeholders and meets their requirements. For example, to evaluate companies which are in reality, it might be difficult to ensure For example, investors would be concerned about the contribution and lead to lower returns for investors. Therefore, this approach is lead to benefits for primary stakeholders, who are usually the capital contributors. The needs of the secondary stakeholders usually considered less important. Continually changing nature. For example, with the establishment of Islamic banks and technical companies, additional rules are needed to address the different nature of business transactions. Next, lengthy process. Feedbacks from various groups of stakeholders are needed before the final decisions, which lead to a longer time taken. Third, failure of accounting standards. The implication of failed accounting standards would be lower quality financial statements which contain information that is not fully compliant with the requirements of the conceptual framework. With lower quality information, Users of accounting information would not be able to make the best decisions. Hello everyone. Next we will look into what is international accounting. Accounting definition enters the international accounting including rules and reporting practices in different countries. The classification includes accounting development, foreign currency translation and international comparison of consolidation accounting. One of the older international accounting perspective is the issue of foreign currency translation that can be divided into two, which is foreign currency transactions and relationship between currency transactions. Relationship between parent company and a foreign subsidiary. Foreign subsidiaries' financial statements must be translated before the consolidation. Another perspective is differences in accounting practices among countries. Mueller, 1968, has highlighted 4 factors which could explain them. Factors that influence diversity in financial reporting practices including the nature of business ownership and the financial system, culture and the level of in the external accounting. Hofstede suggested 4 social dimensions which then Gray utilized the framework on the relationship between culture and accounting practices.
Hi everyone, my name is Nurul Anissa 051073, and for tonight we will present about standardization, harmonization and convergence. Okay, first thing that you all must know is standardization and convergence refer to the same concept of reducing in accounting practices. However, there might be slight variation in terms of the technique applied in achieving the concept. So, after you all know about 3 things, so let's proceed with the first technique, which is standardization.
Assalamualaikum and very good evening to Dr. Ni and all of you. I'm just an ordinary person, but you can call me Sensei. So I'm gonna explain about standardization. Standardization is about developing a system which we follow in as a single thread. It is almost impossible to ensure that another company is using accounting same as we did. Okay, and accounting is decision. Thus, human influence by many factors such as experience. So that's all about it. So we move to.
So hi guys, we meet again. So you know another approach reducing accounting practice is harmonization will reduce differences into an acceptable range. And besides, harmonization is through 4 different approaches, which is the first is simple approach using the same accounting rules. For example, is IFRS. Second is aligned to different set of accounting standard in order to reduce the number
Hello? Lost connection ke?
Lost connection Dr.
Ada agak dah. Ha. So, dia orang boleh masuk balik tak?
So macam dah masuk seorang tadi yang present.
Oh, satu group lost connection.
Sebab yang present tu satu orang je.
Ah.
Hi everyone, we proceed to convergence.
Cheap and process in
Sorry. So right now we proceed to benefit of harmonization and convergence effort. So the first benefit is it can increase comparability of financial statement from various jurisdictions. Okay, so because of that, it will encourage more foreign investors to invest in foreign companies due to better monitoring and understanding of business activities. And the last benefit is cheaper cost in developing accounting standard. So I think that's all from me and another Nisa. Hope you enjoy, and don't worry, we have a few quizzes after this. Stay tuned.
Hi. I am going to explain to all of harmonization efforts. Limitation is the harmonization initiative might out as there are a lot of costs the harmonization process cannot. For it are adoption reducing accounting practices. In some cases, for a new company, which are new with the accounting standards, they might face with huge costs in preparing their accountants to understand the standards such as for training and workshops cost. Second limitation is the fact that culture is different among countries, which make the ways people think and behave cannot be easily standardized. For example, in developing countries, the accountants tend to be more conservative than those who are in developed countries. This results, accountant in developing countries more interest in historical cost principle for the purpose of measurement. In conclusion, the harmonization is slightly hard to be achieved. Third limitation is related to environmental factors and capital markets, which are difficult to standardize. For example, in developing countries, ownership structure usually involved with family businesses. Even though the business is doing well, family members maintain their significant ownership in the business. This results in less diverse ownership structure as the family members maintain their authority in decision making. Next, I will explain about strategies for developing accounting standards. The strategies is to adopt or adapt international accounting standards. It is less cost for company to adopt the standards such as the IFRS. Also, they can benefit from the supporting initiatives for international accounting harmonization. A country might develop its own accounting standards from its own resources without any interference from outside, which is known as evolutionary approach or isolationist approach. Malaysian accounting standards, MASs, were issued jointly by two professional accounting bodies in the 1980s. MAS represented by the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, MIA, Malaysian Association of Certified Public Accountants, MICA. Also, a country might develop their own accounting standards with the assistance from the outsiders, which known as transfer of technology. For example, in big audit firms such as KPMG, partners who are originally from foreign countries share their experiences and exposures in their own countries with Malaysian partners. This could help Malaysian companies to develop their own accounting standards. That's all from me. Thank you.
Digital accounting, or known as e-accounting, refers to the representation of accounting information in digital format which can be electronically manipulated and transmitted.
Accountants of the 20th century, including analytical role.
Is used additional accounting profession real and can 4.0 technologies to advanced connectivity and advanced automation, cloud computing, sensors, and 3D printing, connected capability, computer-powered processes, intelligent algorithms, and the Internet of Things services to businesses.
Now for develop representation consequence.
Faith of concern the operation and economic consequences of disclosure of information which is relevant for decision-making by users.
In the absence of independent accounting regulatory bodies, managers or accountants will decide the accounting practices. This is known as free market model.
Public interest theory concerns accounting regulations for the protection of public interest.
Capture theory concerns accounting regulations to satisfy the needs of certain groups of stakeholders.
International accounting standardization refers to the development of a single set of accounting standards.
Moreover, international accounting harmonization refers to the minimization of accounting choices in accounting standards.
International accounting convergence refers to the process of accounting harmonization which requires a certain period of time before full adoption of accounting standards.
Benefits of accounting harmonization or convergence are increased comparability of financial statements among countries, or foreign direct investment, and cheaper cost in the development of accounting standards.
Among the limitations of accounting harmonization or convergence, costs incurred to update the skills of accountants in applying new accounting standards, differences in environmental variables.
Among the strategies for development of local accounting standards are the adoption or adaptation of international accounting standards, evolution approach, common procedures.
Thank you.
Is it done? No, is it done?
Hello, Doctor. Not yet actually, but it seems like our
How many video that you should have in this presentation actually? Is it each of you have your own presentation, your own video?
Yeah, we separated into 7 parts.
Oh. Oh my God.
So we will share our video in WhatsApp group. Then
Yes, it's
everyone
better to just share your video in the WhatsApp group so that each of you can access to this video. After that, we just end our class after this. Is it okay?
Okay, doctor. By the way,
Okay.
sorry everyone for the
But
inconvenience.
it's okay. Actually, for me, this is a very informative presentation that we just have. And I like the way you start your presentation. You share some part of the transition, some information of the transition for the relevant accounting standard in Malaysia, which is from PERS to MPERS, from MASB to IFRS and to MFRS, you know. And it's a very important information that you should know about that. And this thing, it didn't give you so much a complex understanding that you may have, because you just need to put some effort to read to get more information about that. So if possible, I will just proceed on the next group. Is that okay?
Okay, sure, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Amni and your group mates. Okay, so for the second group, please come on the screen and share your thoughts about chapter 4. It is, I think it is a very good a combination for chapter 3 and chapter 4, because it's just a continuation. It's a very smooth continuation, because chapter 3 just start their presentation on some information about the transition, and somehow on chapter 4 it will focus on the financial accounting standard environment in Malaysia. So group 4, please come on the screen.
Assalamualaikum and a good evening to our lecturer, Dr. Lee,
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, it's a
and
very
my
clear
fellow
voice from
friends.
you.
We are Group 4 and I would like to introduce myself. I am Noaina binti Muhammad Shukri. My group member Noalia Aliza, Anis Sofia, Siti Nohedaya and Kavita. Before we start our presentation, I will briefly explain some of the relation among all the institutions that our group are going to present tonight. Every institution are crucial in shaping the financial reporting environment in Malaysia. As an example, Securities Commission in Malaysia is formed to protect and regulate the capital market in Malaysia. And now, I will pass to Kavita to start sharing the video on topic financial accounting environment in Malaysia. Companies Act 1965 is the first law prescribing information that must be provided by a company before Companies Act 2016 come into force. Since its introduction in 1965, the Act has undergone a number of amendments, some of which relate to financial reporting. Non-scheduled asks companies to disclose profits and loss account and statement of financial positions or balance sheet. Section 169, subsection 14 of Companies Act 1965, each balance sheet should provide true and fair view, and each profit and loss to the account should comply with the conditions of non-schedule as far as relevant. Section 169, subsection 4 explains that profit and loss account and balance sheet, a company must be properly audited before it is present first at its annual general meeting. Malaysia became a member of International Accounting Standard Community or IASC in 1975. Most of the International Accounting Standard (IAS) issued by IASC and International Financial Reporting Standard (IFRS) have been issued by its successor. International Accounting Standard Board (IASB) has adopted in Malaysia. MAPA is self-regulatory accounting body in Malaysia. It was known as Malaysian Institute of Certificate Public Accounting or known as MAPA on 29 January 2002. The association was the first body to introduce a training and examination system leading to professional accounting quality in Malaysia. It merged with the Malaysian Institute of Accounting known as MIA to further implement IAS and also develop a local standard known as Malaysia Accounting Standard (MAS). The objective is to regulate the practice of the accounting professional and to promote the interests of profession in Malaysia. MASB was established under the Financial Reporting Act 1997. MASB as an independent authority develop and issue accounting and financial reporting standards in Malaysia. The Financial Reporting Framework in Malaysia was created by MASB together with the Financial Reporting Foundation or known as FRF. This framework includes an independent standard setting structure with representation from all relevant parties in the standard setting process such as preparers, users, regulators, and accounting profession. The company financial statement provide financial information used by investor, creditor, and analysts to assess the company financial performance. It need to be prepared or settled under any law administered by such regulator like Securities Commission Malaysia, Bank Negara Malaysia, or Register of Companies based on Section 26D of Financial Reporting Act 1997. MASB has also issued a number of accounting standards called Malaysian Financial Reporting Standard or MFRS that commonly used by public entities. On 14 February 2014, FRF and MASB announced the introduction of Malaysian Private Entity Reporting Standard (MPERS). Because PERS consists of all MASB standards, most of which are obsolete and do not fit the current MFRS framework. The use of accurate accounting by federal and state government of Malaysia is to increase the financial reporting by public sector and in line with the government economic transformation plan. It is turned into cash-based accounting to accurate-based accounting. Some of the objectives of MASB is to develop and promote high-quality accounting and financial reporting standard in line with international best practice for the benefit of consumer, providers, auditor, and the general public in Malaysia. MASB achieved its objective mainly by expanding and publishing MASB-approved accounting standards and promote its use standard in general financial statement and other financial statement reporting. Function and powers of MASB as provided for under this Act. First is to issue new accounting standard as approved accounting standard and review or adopt existing accounting standard as approved accounting standard. MASB also conducting public consultations and make changes to the proposed accounting standard that are deemed necessary, new and existing standard statement of principle and proposed standard change to. An Act to establish the Financial Reporting Foundation and the Malaysian Accounting Standard Board to provide their function and power and to provide matter relating to it. This Act can be referred to as the Financial Reporting Act 1997. Role played by the Financial Reporting Framework is providing information to the management of the organization. It is used for planning, analysis, and decision-making process. It also provides useful information that will help stakeholders to make decisions about the organization. It assists the board in developing IFRS standard based on consistent concept and provide information to the statutory auditor, which in turn facilitate the audit. It is to audit the financial statement. In terms of economic, it also provides information on the economic resources of the organization, such as how these resources and demand change over a period of time. Financial reporting is responsible to develop account reconciliation, journal entries, financial statement, data compilation, and analysis to ensure accuracy and timely delivery. It is important to have accountant to observe and monitor the financial matter of company. It helps the organization know the cash flow of the company. The importance of cash flow is exchange of cash between the company and the outside world over a period of time, and therefore investor can find out if the company has enough cash to pay for expenses and asset purchases.
Bank Negara Malaysia. It is a central bank of Malaysia, established on 26 January 1959 under the Central Bank of Malaysia at 1958. Now, Bank Negara Malaysia is governed by the Central Bank of Malaysia at 2009. It is a wholly owned statutory body of the Malaysian government. It reports directly to the Ministry of Finance on matters pertaining to monetary and financial sector policies. Central role of the BNM includes practicing prudent monetary policy to ensure low and stable inflation rate and sustaining the purchasing power of the Malaysian ringgit. BNM also responsible for instituting stable financial system and developing the financial sector in Malaysia. BNM plays a key role in setting access of financial services to various forms of economic sectors and background of society in Malaysia with the intention of achieving balanced economic growth. BNM include being the banker, financial and economic advisor to the Malaysian government and the sole authority for issuing ringgit currency and managing Malaysia International Reserve. 7 other functional areas of BNM which relate to the country's economic and monetary policy, investment and operations, financial institution regulation, payment system, supervision, organizational development, and provide and enhance information transparency and disclosure to various stakeholders. Current BNM Governor is Datuk Nur Syamsiah Muhammad Yunus. BNM Governor is the Chief Executive Officer of the bank and is assisted by 3 Deputy Governors who report directly to the Governor and 8 Assistant Deputy Governors. The roles of the bank are supported by 39 departments. The policy for the bank is set up by the Board of Directors of BNM. It comprises 11 members including the BNM Governor, Deputy Governors, Secretary General of the Treasury. Most members on the Board of Directors are appointed by His Majesty TYMM Yang di-Pertuan Agong except for the Deputy Governors who are appointed by the Ministry of Finance. The acts that under the purview of the BNM include the Development Financial Institution Act 2002, Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act 2001, Money Services Business Act 2011, Financial Services Act 2013, Islamic and Financial Services Act 2013.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Anisofia binti Abu Hashim. My matric number is 050586 and in today's presentation I'll be specifically talking about the Securities Commission Malaysia. As you can see on the left side of the slide right now, there is a logo. That is a logo of Securities Commission Malaysia. Before I further dive into the topic, I'll be explaining about what does it mean by securities and securities market. For securities, securities mean debentures, stocks or bond issued. And secondly, the securities market is a place where public companies issue their equity instruments, such as ordinary shares, preference shares, and warrant, and also their debt instrument. This is so that they can raise source of capital from the public to finance their business. One of the example of securities market is Bursa Malaysia, which is the exchange where shares and bonds are traded by Malaysian companies referred to as listed companies. Under the Capital Market and Services Act 2007, Securities Commission is responsible for supervising and regulating activities of market institutions and persons licensed under this act. So, what does it mean is all of the activities that are in securities market are supervised and regulated by Securities Commission. For today's presentation, I'll be speaking mainly about these three things, which is the history of Securities Commission Malaysia, and then I'll be listing out the Securities Commission Malaysia regulatory function, and third, I'll be explaining about the organizational structure of Securities Commission Malaysia. Now, I will briefly explain about the history of Securities Commission Malaysia. It was formed on 1 March 1993 under the Securities Commission Act 1993. Securities Commission Malaysia is a self-funding statutory body with authority to carry out investigation and enforcement power over entities whose securities are issued to the market. In my opinion,
Hello, hold on.
Securities Commission is
Hello. Could you please speed up your presentation? So because this session I just set up for 1 hour. So after 1 hour, it will be automatically dismissed for all participants. Okay. So just try to go for the most important point. So we just going to end up our session in the next few minutes.
Securities Commission is a caretaker, innovative and competitive in the law, and a police to those who violate the law and did a misconduct. Next, moving on to the Securities Commission Malaysia's mission. The Securities Commission Malaysia's mission is to promote and maintain fair, efficient, secure, and transparent securities and derivative market, and to facilitate the orderly development of innovative and competitive capital market. Next, moving on to the second part, regulatory function. Firstly, registering authority for prospectus of corporations other than unlisted recreational clubs. Secondly, approving authority for corporate bond issues. Thirdly, regulating all matters relating to securities and futures. And fourthly, regulating the takeover and mergers of companies. Next.
Could you please straight away go? Hello. Could you please go straight away to the main point for the Bursa Malaysia and the main point for the Malaysian corporate governance? Maybe a few sentences about that. Maybe you can talk about that. Just tell us what you know and what you are going to share with us about the Bursa Malaysia in few seconds, and about the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance in few seconds.
Offers a complete range of services covering trading, clearing, depository, and settlement.
Bursa Malaysia is an exchange holding company incorporated in 1976 and listed in 2005. So it's one of the largest bourses in Asia. Bursa Malaysia have
Oh.
1930, Singapore Stockbrokers Association, which is first formal securities business organization established in Malaysia. Later on in 1997, which is Malayan Stockbrokers as currency interchangeability between Malaysia and Singapore. In 1976, the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange was incorporated. It's private and market-oriented. And lastly, there you go, in 2005, Bursa Malaysia Berhad was listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad on 18 March 2005.
Next, we are going to governance is defined as the process and structure used to direct and manage the business and affairs of the company towards promoting business prosperity and corporate accountability with the ultimate objective of realizing long-term shareholder value while taking into account in the interest of other stakeholders. Clarify the practice. They apply, first of all, is apply or explain an alternative intended outcome. Clarify the practices. Third is guidance, that is to assist company in applying the practices. Step up. Number 4, identify the exemplary practice which support the companies in moving towards to greater excellence. Number 5 is Malaysian Code Corporate Governance target listed companies. Number 6 is certain practices only applicable to large companies. For example, is company on Bursa Malaysia Top 100 Index or companies with market capitalization of 2 billion, RM 2 billion and above. Last but not least, number 7 is non-listed entities or SME are encouraged to embrace this code. Now we are going to see the key principle of good corporate governance. This is the most important thing that we have to know regarding Malaysian good corporate governance. They are divided into 3, that is principle A, B and C. Now we are going to see the principle A. Board response voting process. Independent directors only. This C, that is integrity in corporate reporting and meaningful relationship between stakeholders. We can see that there are 2 components, that is communication with stakeholders, comments to improve shareholder. Like the global principle and internationally recognize the standards and the practices of corporate governance.
Thank you guys for lending your ears, and we will upload our video in the YouTube and we will share at the group so you guys can refer and we get the further understanding on this topic. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you and to Aina and her group mates. Actually, this presentation is quite good, but the way you deliver your presentations is sometimes it's a little bit slow for me, and not much infographic that can attract my eyes to the screen. You know, because ideally you cannot even have more than 10 or 15 minutes in order to make sure your audience going to have a good listening to your presentations. Okay, maximum is 20 minutes. Even 20 minutes also is not really ideal. So you just need to make sure you are going to have your presentation within 10 minutes maximum or 15 minutes, the max and maximum that you should have. If you can make it in less than 10 minutes and share your thoughts and share the important point in the some mind mapping, so it will save your time and it will save your struggle, you know. Anyway, we are really appreciate to have you, both of you, in from group 3 and group 4. And as I have mentioned earlier, so this session we just going to have it for a very simple setup today, because in my area they have a very strong bad weather at this time, and I hope some part among of you also have the same thing. And I think I'm not hope. I think some of you have having the same problem, and inshallah, if you have any further question about that, so we just going to discuss personally, and you may ask me personally by calling me or by give me a WhatsApp. And inshallah, we are going to meet again. And for your information, on next week, we are going to have our quizzes. So we are not going to have a presentation next week. So the next following week, we just continue our presentation. On next week, we are going to have our quizzes and chapter cover, chapter 1 until 4. Okay, just MCQ questions and some part of the true and false questions. Okay, so I think that's all. That's all, and thank you to all of you, and take care, and assalamualaikum.
Doctor,
Yeah.
I
Ashraf tak clear. Mungkin Ashraf pun ada masalah. Hello? Hello? Sekat. Hello? Okay, see you again next week, class.